Hi everyone. I have received a few questions about the culminating part one, so I thought I would just create a video that you could refer back to if you'd like to. So just to kind of go over what is this project. So as you know, there is no exam this year, this summer. So instead of that, we've had the opportunity to do two smaller projects in place of the exam. So just like an exam would attempt to cover sort of broadly the topics of the whole course, so too do these two parts of the assignment. So as you're going through here, you want to make connections, as I've said before, you want to make your connections with things that we've actually learned in the class, as well as you'll notice in this particular one, in part number one, we also want to make connections to careers in the field of biology. So those are the things that we're thinking about. So part A of part one. So part one is this entire document that we're looking at here. It's due on Wednesday, July 22nd by 11:59. So again, you're going to be dropping those assignments into the Dropbox, which is posted on D2L. So please attach any files that are relevant there. The simplest thing for me to mark it is fewer files. So if there's a way that you can reduce the number of files, I would appreciate that. Although, of course, if you have a PowerPoint and a Word document, you can't really merge those two things. I understand that. But whatever you choose to do, that is fine. So what we're really doing for this disorders part is that we're looking at a specific disease within one of the systems. So I have posted right here is a whole bunch of the different topics that you might choose from. And I've mentioned in office hours previously, but sort of just to mention it again, you want to choose something that relates to one of the three systems. So under here, for example, I have a whole bunch of ones that relate to the digestive system, circulatory, and respiratory system. So if there's a disorder that you're interested in and you really want to research it, and it's not on this list, I would ask you just to check in with me because some of them may not fit into one of those three categories. And that's really our goal, is to show what we've learned from this unit. So that's just there for you to use. Again, please speak to me if there's something beyond this list that you like. So I want to just mention here, because I've had the question a few times. So I mentioned that you can make whatever you want to present the information. That includes just making a Word document that has the answers to this. So if you wish to do that, and that's the extent you want to go, that's totally fine. We're going to see in the rubric, there's no marks actually for making this, look attractive or anything like that. You will see in part two, though, which is due on Friday, there is an aspect where I'm asking you to actually use diagrams. So I will speak to that in a separate video. But yes, this one here, it's okay if you don't put any videos, any pictures. It's sort of like up to you. Now, I have mentioned to a few people, because they're asking, what should I do about diagrams? Well, diagrams in this context are not being marked, but if you feel a diagram helps you with an explanation, I would encourage you to use it. So it's not to say you cannot use diagrams or that you must use diagrams. You're using it essentially if it helps with your explanation. So I leave that to you. It's very, very open-ended. You don't have to use them, but if you find that there's a diagram that fits well with your description, I will encourage you to do that. With this, and I'll speak to this at the end later, you will have to write down your sources. So we're going to still create a works cited for this, which you can put all the works cited together. So you're going to use more cites for part B and C as well. You can just include them together as a works cited. So in part B, we are making those connections to careers in biology. So what I've put here is a website. This has basically all types of scientists, different scientists that are Canadian. If you click into it, you should be able to see there the most popular scientists, but there should also be a drop-down menu which says category. And category has under it biology, so you're welcome to click into that if you'd like. I'm going to try to show it in my video here. But if you need more clarification about that with this link, you're essentially looking there for something that applies to our course. So again, we've studied a lot of different topics in here. The scientists that are listed on the main page are most popular, but if you click on category on the top left, you can click down to biology itself or even medicine. And I want you to look through a few different scientists and try to apply what they've done to something in our course. So, as an example, we've studied genetics. So, there might be a scientist in there who's discovered a gene or something like that. So, you're using that website as an inspiration. You can use it as a source if you'd like. If there's some other scientists you know of, please feel free. But again, the idea here is it's a Canadian scientist. That is something we are studying in our curriculum. So, I would encourage you to use this. But if you need additional sources, please by all means go ahead and do that. Our goal in here is really how does this discovery apply to our course? I mentioned in here just a few like background information items about them. Again, you're using that website with additional sources. You're free to look elsewhere. And then number 3 is like a description of the discovery. Number 2 is what was their actual steps? What was their method to actually find that? So I had the question earlier, is it okay if we use point forms here? Absolutely fine. In fact, for something that is where and when, we really aren't explaining anything. So it is totally fine to put this as just point forms. I actually encourage you to do that. Just making sure always that we're actually answering the question. Okay, so whether you decide to write it in sentences or in a point form, totally up to you, but make sure that you're actually answering what I've asked there. I'm not looking for additional information. I just want the question answered. Okay. In part C, you're taking this one step further, and what you might have noticed in part A is that you're researching a career that is, or rather, I should say, you have to mention a career that's related to your disorder. So this part C is related into that as well, which is you don't have to use that same one from part A. You can just research any old career that you want. I just ask that it applies something to biology. So I've mentioned here, when I created this assignment, I did so based on my pathway planner. So York Region students, you would have used this to choose your courses. So if you would like to use this, great. If you have some other occupation in mind, you can just Google it and find sources there. You don't have to use my source of my pathway planner. But you are looking through these sort of things about the career, okay? Again, these questions are like 1 mark each, so I really shouldn't be writing a big paragraph here. It's not meant to be that. It's fine if things here are in point forms, but just making sure again that you're answering the questions. So that brings us to the referencing, which I mentioned just earlier. I do want to works cited for this for all of the 3 parts. So you can include them as one single document, or you can put them in separate documents if you wish. Either way, I would like it in MLA format. And I had mentioned to some of you before is sort of like a little trick with that, which is you can use a website called EasyBib. So if you do need any assistance with that, anything like that, please let me know. It's also, if you notice here, an add-on in Google Docs. So if you don't have this already, I find this a really easy way because I can simply just copy and paste my websites into there and it will spit out a works cited for me. So you would go to Get Add-ons and then search up EasyBib. You may also have some other way to do that as well. That's fine, but I'm looking for it in MLA format. Just to reinforce one more time, I mentioned this on many of your dichotomous key research labs. Wikipedia is not a reliable source, so please do not use it and do not cite it for this project. However, Wikipedia is a good starting point if I'm like, I don't know exactly what this is. I just want to find out a little bit of info before I commit to actually doing that for my project. So in that sense, you can use Wikipedia just to find out, okay, so what is this disease, right? What is this career, for example? But it is not meant to be an actual source. So you would have to go elsewhere, look at their sources that they've cited, and then use that information there. So last but not least is the evaluation piece of this. So again, we're kind of looking at answering the questions for part A, really. Someone mentioned to me, I don't see anything for diagrams here. That is correct. I'm not evaluating anything to do with having diagrams in there. I'm just looking that you are researching and understanding the information here. Same thing for part B and C. We keep it really simple. It's just, have you answered the questions correctly? If so, then you should get the marks for it. So in total, you'll see here it's out of 38. Part 2 is also around the same amount of marks as well. Just to let you know, I will mark this sometime this week, so sometime after Wednesday, but it will show up as a value of 0 on Teach Assist until both of the assignments are marked. Because if not, Teach Assist basically thinks that this one is worth 30% when it's only actually worth 15%. So you will see a mark pop up and it will say that it has no value. I will modify that after both projects are in. So hopefully that helps a little bit explain Culminating Part 1. I'm going to post another video as well for Culminating Part 2, so you can check that one out once you're finished with this, or if you wish to get started on Part 2 before